A fillet is a rounding of an interior or exterior corner of a part design. The curve filleting is a function creating a transitional circular arc, connecting two adjacent curves. Only straight lines or circular arcs are adoptable for the curve filleting. In other words, a fillet can be created between two straight lines. Between a straight line and circular arc. Or, between two circular arcs. Let's start with the case of a fillet, connecting two straight lines. Input the endpoints of the straight lines using the grid. In order to start the fillet function, pull down the Edit menu and choose Fillet item. Fillet dialog pops up. Set the fillet radius to 2. Select the two lines. Click Make Fillet button. Then, the sharp connection part is rounded by a circular arc. We may observe the rule of determining the fillet, using an extra capability of the function. Undo the filleting. The original straight lines are recovered. Expand the fillet dialog by clicking the small triangle, which is the expansion button. Set the option of Keep the Original by checking the box. Click Make Fillet button again. Then, the straight lines remain unchanged, and a new circular arc is added as the fillet part. This shows the geometric characteristics of the fillet connection between two straight lines. The fillet is determined to form a circular arc, tangentially connected to the two straight lines. Undo the filleting. Let's try the much larger radius for the fillet. Input 10. Click Make Fillet button. But, the fillet is not created. Instead, there appears a message. The fillet is out of range. This implies that the radius is too large to fit the arc between the straight lines. So, reduce the fillet radius to 3. And uncheck Keep the Original option. Click Make Fillet button. The fillet is created between the two straight lines, which are reduced to fit to the end points of the circular arc. The composition of the fillet parts can also be examined using Curve Editing tool. Click the straight lines and the circular arc, which show their endpoints and connections. Let's examine various cases with different arrangement of lines. Make a case of straight lines crossing with each other. Another case of crossing straight lines, but with possible fillet positions at both sides. In the next case, the straight lines are neither crossing, nor contacting with each other. Lastly, two lines are parallel. Choose Fillet item from Edit menu, and start the fillet function again. Select the two straight lines crossing with each other. Set the fillet radius to 2, and click Make Fillet button. The fillet is created in the side with a space sufficient for the fillet. The next case also has the point of line crossing, but the fillet creation is failed with a message, the fillet side is ambiguous. This means the fillet position cannot be determined uniquely, because the fillet can be created in either side of the crossing point. For the case of no crossing lines, they may be either elongated or shortened to fit to the fillet radius. Let's first try with radius 2. In order to examine the characteristics of the fillet, undo the filleting, and set the option of Keep the Original. Click Make Fillet button. The result shows that the fillet part is created apart from the original straight lines. A larger radius is necessary to fit the fillet within the range of given straight lines. So, change the radius to 5. Click Make Fillet button. Then, the fillet is created within the range of the straight lines. Uncheck Keep the Original option and recreate the fillet. Lastly, try filleting for the case of parallel lines. Filleting is failed, and there appears a message two lines are parallel. The fillet cannot be created between parallel lines. The next part of the tutorial is about filleting between a straight line and a circular arc. There are two cases, one is the case of straight line crossing the circular arc. And the other is the case without crossing. For the first case, select the straight line and the circular arc by shift-clicking. Set the fillet radius to 5. And click Make Fillet button. The circular arc and the straight line are roundly connected by the newly created fillet. Let's examine the second case of a circular arc and straight line without crossing. Reset the fillet radius to 1. Select the circular arc and straight line. Click Make Fillet button. Then, failure is notified by the message, "Fillet is out of range." This means, the gap between the two selected curves is too wide to be fit by a fillet with radius 1. Let's change the radius to 2. The filleting fails again, this time with a message, "The fillet side is ambiguous." This happens because the possible fillet positions in two opposite sides. Change the radius to 3, and click Make Fillet button. Then, a fillet is created to make a round connection between a part of the circular arc and the straight line. Undo the filleting, and check Keep the Original option, in order to visualize the geometric formation of the fillet. The display shows the tangential connections between the fillet arc and the selected curves. There are two alternative ways of making rounded connection between a circular arc and a straight line. They are circumscribed fillet and inscribed fillet. The circumscribed fillet makes the circular arc circumscribed to the fillet arc. Inscribed fillet makes the circular arc inscribed to the fillet arc. The circumscribed fillet has been applied to all the previous examples. Next example will show the other option, that is, inscribed fillet. Undo the filleting. Choose the radio button of inscribed fillet. Uncheck the option, Keep the Original. Click Make Fillet button. The failure message reads, "The fillet radius is too small." It is because the radius is too small to form a circle, comprising both the circular arc and the straight line, by inscribed fillet option. Change the radius to 30. And click Make Fillet button. Then, an inscribed fillet is created. In order to examine the geometric formation of the fillet, undo the filleting, and check Keep the Original option. And regenerate the fillet. The result shows how the fillet is fit to both of the selected curves. Undo the filleting, and uncheck Keep the Original option. Regenerate the fillet. Use Curve Editing tool to check the geometric characteristics of the fillet. The next part of the tutorial is about filleting two circular arcs. Open the Fillet dialog. Set the fillet radius to 10 and select two circular arcs. Click Make Fillet button. The two circular arcs are smoothly connected by the fillet of radius 10. Undo filleting. Expand the dialog and check the option Keep the Original. Click Make Fillet button. The fillet part is overlaid on the original circular arcs, which shows the fillet connection, tangential to the circular arcs. Undo filleting. And let's make an example of inscribed fillet, which should be different from the circumscribed fillet, presented so far. Change the fillet type to inscribed fillet. And click Make Fillet button. Filleting fails, and the message reads, "The fillet is out of range." It is because the radius is too small to form a circle, comprising the two circular arcs, by inscribed fillet option. Change the fillet radius to 20. And click Make Fillet. Filleting fails again due to the same reason. The fillet is out of range. Change the fillet radius to 30. And try again. The fillet is successfully generated this time. The display shows the rounded connection of the fillet arc, in which two circular arcs are inscribed. Undo the filleting and uncheck the option of Keep the Original. Click Make Fillet button. The composition of the fillet connection can be identified in the final result. Close the dialog, and activate the Curve Editing tool. Click each part of the fillet connection, and the center and end points of the arcs are displayed. There is a necessary condition in the formation of the curves for fillet generation. The curve formation should lie on an identical plane. The plane should not necessarily be normal to the x, y or z coordinate axes. There is no limitation for the normal direction of the plane. That is, a fillet can be created for the curves on any plane in three-dimensional space. However, all the points on the curves for filleting should lie on a single plane. Otherwise, the fillet cannot be created. Practical applications of the fillet function will be demonstrated with the examples shown on the screen. The first example is the fillet formation between two straight lines. Select a pair of lines, and make a fillet. Repeat the same process for each corner, one by one. The second example is the fillet connection of a straight line and circular arc. Make fillets for the left and right sides of the figure. The last example is the filleting two circular arcs. Make fillets in the up and down sides of the outer circles. Lastly, the plane regions with fillets will be filled by mesh generation. This is the end of the tutorial about the fillet function.